Alright, let's talk about something almost every IVF patient experiences, but very few people are prepared for. You go into your egg retrieval with 15 follicles showing on the ultrasound. You're hopeful, you're encouraged, you're already imagining a strong outcome. Then the phone calls start. First, fewer eggs than expected, then fewer mature eggs, then fewer fertilized embryos, then fewer that make it to day 5. By the end of the week, you might be left with only 1 or 2 embryos, and suddenly your brain goes straight to, did something go wrong? Did my body fail? Did I mess this up somehow? But here is the truth that clinics sometimes do not explain well enough. In IVF, losing eggs and embryos along the way is not a complication. It is not a mistake. It is not failure. It is the normal biological filtering process. Today, I want to walk you through what is often called the IVF attrition funnel, so you understand what typically happens at each stage and why these numbers drop the way they do. This knowledge does not make the waiting easier emotionally, but it does make the numbers less frightening and more predictable. Let's start with what happens on retrieval day. When your doctor retrieves eggs, they are collecting follicles from the ovaries. But not every follicle contains a fully mature egg that is ready to fertilize. Some eggs are still developing. Some may be overmature. Some follicles may be empty. On average, about 70 to 80% of retrieved eggs are mature enough to be usable. That means if 10 eggs are retrieved, it is completely normal for only 7 or 8 to actually move forward to fertilization. This early drop has nothing to do with supplements, diet, exercise, mindset, or anything you did or did not do. Follicles grow at different speeds inside the ovary, and hormone timing is never perfect. Biology does not run on a schedule, so even at the very first stage, some attrition is expected. Next comes fertilization. Whether your clinic uses conventional IVF, where sperm and egg meet naturally in the lab, or ICSI, where a single sperm is injected into the egg, not every mature egg will fertilize successfully. A healthy fertilization rate is usually around 70 to 80%. That means from 8 mature eggs, you might expect 5 or 6 to fertilize. Sometimes fertilization fails because the sperm cannot penetrate the egg. Sometimes the egg does not activate properly, even when sperm enters. Sometimes there are microscopic chromosomal or structural issues that cannot be seen under the microscope. This is not something that can be controlled by lifestyle changes or willpower. These are cellular-level processes that simply happen. So already, we see another natural reduction in numbers. Now comes the part that feels emotionally hardest for most patients. After fertilization, embryos must grow and divide over several days, typically until day 5 or day 6, when they reach the blastocyst stage. A blastocyst is a more complex structure that is separated into different cell layers and is capable of implantation. Only about 30 to 50% of fertilized embryos typically make it to this stage. This is often the biggest drop in the entire cycle. Around day 3, the embryo's own genetic material takes over control of development. If there are genetic abnormalities, missing chromosomes, or errors in cell division, the embryo may simply stop growing. This is not your body failing. This is nature preventing embryos that cannot develop into healthy pregnancies from progressing further. From 6 fertilized embryos, it is completely normal to end up with only 2 or 3 blastocysts. Some people end up with 1. Some cycles end with none. While emotionally devastating, this outcome is still medically within normal expectations. If genetic testing is part of your cycle, there is one more filter. PGT-A testing looks at whether an embryo has the correct number of chromosomes. This is where age becomes the biggest factor. In people under 35, roughly 70% of blastocysts may test as chromosomally normal. As age increases, that percentage declines. Around age 40, only about 25 to 30% of blastocysts may be genetically normal. This means someone in their early 30s might get multiple healthy embryos from a single cycle, while someone in their 40s might need several cycles to obtain one healthy embryo. This difference is biological. It is not about effort, discipline, supplements, or positivity. It is simply how human eggs age over time. When people see their numbers drop at every stage, it can feel shocking and unfair. Many patients are never told ahead of time how much attrition is expected. So when the drop happens, the brain interprets it as failure instead of normal physiology. Some people call this process the Hunger Games because it feels like survival of the strongest. And emotionally, it really can feel that way. But the goal of IVF is not to create as many embryos as possible. The goal is to identify the embryo or embryos that actually have the biological capacity to develop into a healthy pregnancy. Quantity does not equal quality, and it truly only takes one healthy embryo. Depending on individual factors, one good embryo can carry a 50 to 60% chance of live birth. If your numbers feel smaller than you hoped, that does not mean you are broken. It does not mean your body betrayed you. It means your body and the laboratory are filtering for viability. IVF is not a straight line, it is a narrowing funnel. Understanding that does not remove the emotional weight, but it does remove unnecessary self-blame and fear. If this information helped you feel more grounded or more prepared, you are not alone in this journey. There is nothing abnormal about finding this process overwhelming. You are doing something incredibly brave. Please subscribe and like the video.